Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Broyans farm. So we just got out here to the market. We are unloading our load of plants from hometown yesterday. Ben right now is trying to open the doors. He's struggling pretty hard. Ben, just open the doors. I can't. So once he gets those open, we can finally start unloading. This looks like quite a bit, but it's really not. Like the whole attic up there isn't filled. The floor, we actually, all these plants here and up here, we just put here from our greenhouses back home. We're basically done with the greenhouses at home, besides like the late season cabbage we just seeded, and some hollyhocks, hibiscus, and sunflowers is all we have left, like I said. So that's really nice. We're gonna get them closed up. There's just no point in having the fans running and all that kind of stuff for a couple plants. We are gonna leave them running for a little bit to keep them cooled down, like I said, for our late season cabbage, because that's very important. But besides that, we're definitely gonna shut down one of the two. We're not gonna keep them both running. So we're gonna get this unloaded, get this looking really beautiful out here, and then we're gonna head back home. We just got about, I think, over an inch of rain last night. I didn't look at the rain gauge, but that's what they were calling for anyway. And everything's wet. You can see like the puddles and everything laying out here. So here is the greenhouse. We've been bringing stuff out periodically, but now it's almost all out here. You can see we have mostly a lot of petunias, almost this whole row is petunias, and we have some more in the truck yet. And then we have a lot of Gerber daisies left. But besides that, we only have about 2 or 3 flats left of about everything. Here is some marigolds. We do have a couple flats left of them. Do we have enough portulacas in there?
Yes.
Like, should I get another flat off here now?
Like 3 or 4.
So we just got the greenhouse filled up. This is basically all we have. We left a couple things on the van that we're gonna throw out, and then there's a couple flats of flowers in the other greenhouses back home we're gonna get rid of. So we're gonna head back home, dump that stuff that we don't have to worry about it no more, and then we'll move on to whatever's next. So we just got back to the farm. We're starting to dump some petunias. We're gonna save the Gerber daisies for now, just because people aren't really buying them because they're not blooming, not just because, you know, they don't want them. And then we're gonna dump, we have a couple peppers left, some eggplant, tomatoes, and then some herbs back in here. A lot easier when it's wet versus being dry. And also we're making sure we pull the tags out too, because we don't want to throw anything out in our field, not in our fields, but like I said, in the hedgerow, that's plastic. So here's all of our tags. Again, they won't get reused either, but we just don't want to throw them in the field. The packs will then just break apart and they'll stack together. That way they don't take much room either. All right, so the van's empty. They're doing the last couple flats. All we have left on here is 1 flat of super hot peppers, and the rest are Gerber daisies. We're gonna get these posts off, and then this van will be ready for Wilkes-Barre Market at the square, which will probably be starting in about, I would say, 2 weeks, which by then we should have some maybe smaller cabbage, broccoli, kohlrabi, kale, and collard greens. That should be about it at that point in time. They're stacking the Gerber daisies in here now. The only thing that's left, everything's out of number 2, and the only thing that's left good in here is the tomato hangers and these Gerber daisies and the late season cabbage that Sammy and I seeded. You can see now they're all coming up really nice, doing really well. Cheers, that's one of our cabbages. Twister, that's a cauliflower. Gypsy is broccoli. Okay, so we got the flowers out. Now I'm up here in the field. Sammy and Ben went home. Just because we got a bunch of rain and it's still kind of spritzing out, we didn't want to do too much today. Couldn't really do any field work. It's too muddy out. And so I thought it'd be a good day to kind of just walk around, show everybody what things are looking like, how things are growing. So right now I'm out in the cantaloupe and watermelon. So last time I was out here was when we were planting them, and they were, you know, probably about this big. Now they obviously have about quadrupled in size. There is like some brown spots in the leaves. My dad just got them sprayed with a herbicide. So I think they'll start coming out of that now. Those should really start growing, getting big and green and bushy. And another thing I'm noticing is we're getting a lot of weeds in the row here. It's kind of hard to see, but out there it's really getting green. So I'm gonna come through here with the shielded sprayer and hopefully kill all these weeds. These ones here are especially bad because they're viney and they will just wrap around the plants and it'll be a nightmare. So it's right about the perfect time because the plants are still up on the plastic. If we wait till they get even, you know, 4 or 5 inches longer, they're gonna start coming off the plastic, and then I run the risk of hitting them with the weed killer. So definitely don't wanna do that. And now that the weeds are small, it's also just a good time because it's easier to kill them. When you have big, huge weeds and also trying to miss hitting your good cantaloupe watermelon vines, it can be really bad, and I don't wanna do any of that. So I'm gonna be really careful, and hopefully I can get in there really soon before it gets too late. Over here is our first planting of the cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and this stuff's looking really nice. Very few weeds. I can see some like here and there coming up, but the bigger they get, the more they're shading the rows out and keeping the weeds suppressed. So that's really nice. The cabbage though, everything here is still a ways off. I mean, I'm thinking at least 2 weeks yet. The peas are doing really nice. The only problem we're having here is, again, you can see these viney weeds here coming up through, and like they're all intertwined right now with that pea plant. So probably tomorrow, hopefully me, Sammy, Ben, Frank can all get out here and get these cleaned up, because if we don't, in about a week, they're gonna totally about engulf these pea plants, or we're probably not gonna get anything off of them. We already planted the peas late as it was, and on top of that, if they start getting suffocated by these weeds, we'll never get anything. So there goes cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, whatever, kohlrabi. Then we have our peas, drive road here, which you can see the Kubota I just came out with. Then we move on to our pickles. And again, I guess they're just coming out of that funky stage. They have that brownish on the leaves, but I'm very confident they're gonna come out of that. I don't really see that being a problem. There's a weed right there. Pull that out of there. And before you know, actually right here, they're already gonna start getting some blossoms on them, and probably again in about a week and a half, well, I'd say a week and a half to 2 weeks, we should have some small pickles ready to pick. And then below these pickles is the zucchini, and then below the zucchini is the red beets. But this year, more than ever, as you can see, we're really struggling with these viney, I don't know what, I just call them vines. I don't know what the technical name is for them, but they're terrible this year. Okay, so now I'm down here in the onions. I'm just out at the end, like it was the cabbage, then the cantaloupes, now here's the onions. This was the first thing we planted for the year. We actually just came out here yesterday. Me, Ben, Frank, and Sammy got these weeded pretty well. Some of the weeds were so small though that it was hard to see them. We got as many as we could. Dad's still got to come through here and cultivate these once or twice more and get the weeds down. And I'm looking here, we did miss a couple, like right here's one. But I mean, like I said, these could have only shot up within the past day and a half. And I'm sure we missed a couple, but for the most part, there's not many. Like right here's one that was definitely missed. These are these pickery ones that I hate. Get this out of there. You can see the little spikes on there. They're terrible. And then we also got to side dress the onions. When I say side dress them, that means we'll come through here with the cultivator again, and we'll actually put, it's kind of like a fertilizer on the sides of the onions. It helps them grow, and by doing that, you're not fertilizing the whole field and helping the weeds grow. You're only basically helping the onions grow, as long as the weeds don't get too grown up around the onions. But we're trying not to let that happen. The worst thing you can let happen is let the weeds get about a foot high, then you're coming through trying to pull the weeds out next to the onions, and then you're pulling out the onions with it, and it's a whole bad situation all the way around. So right out here on the side of the onions are right there, is the soybeans that just got planted. And I think these were only planted about, I would say 5 days ago. I think, I could be wrong, but you can already see they're coming up beautiful. We actually didn't plant these. We had our neighbors across the way there, just about 2 miles away, not even, plant these for us with their no-till planter. We don't have one. And they do a beautiful job. And as you can see here, I mean, it shows. It's hard to see right now, but within the next, I would say 3 days, you'll be able to see these coming up straight out through the row. I mean, you can already see them coming up really well. So now I'm out here to the strawberry field. Obviously, you've seen a ton of this from us picking, but we have been absolutely getting hammered by the deer. You can just see here how, I mean, these should be big bushy plants, and they mowed them off once right in the beginning of the season, so they already kind of hurt the berries. They didn't get to the size they should have, and then the plants started getting new growth. You can see the nice, like, light colored new green growing leaves, and then now they started hammering them again. And so these plants almost just didn't even stand a chance this year. I would say probably the first at least 75 yards is just basically mowed off. We did get a couple berries off them, but just not many. And another thing we're kind of battling is the grass. You can see over here, I mean, just look at this. It's like just thick grass growing. Now there is a spray we can spray these with after the berries are done. It's called Tap Out. We're thinking berries are probably going to be done in about a week. I mean, I hope they go for 2 more weeks, but I'm thinking a week's probably about going to be the end of them. And that's pretty normal, usually from the first week of June to about the 3rd, 4th week in June is what you get out of them. And so once these are completely done, we'll come through here, spray these weeds with Tap Out, and hopefully kill all these grass patches, because I mean, they're just everywhere, there and there, out there. They're not the worst thing in the world, but we just don't like to see it. And besides that, there is some weeds coming up in the row, like these ones here, that we got to get weeded out. But I mean, you can just kind of see there is almost no berries on these plants. So, I mean, we're just not getting much off of them. And so we had a good year with strawberries so far. I would say not the greatest, just because of, we didn't get a lot of rain, but it was kind of all the cold weather kind of held them back. When we were closed, I mean, if people around here are watching my videos, I mean, they obviously know we were closed about every other day, because not only were we very busy when we were open, busier than normal, but then the berries weren't ripening like they should have. And so that just kind of hurt us a little. Out here, you can see we have baskets stacked up. My mom did have dryer sheets on them to keep, I mean, that smell, you can see one right here. That smell will keep the deer away. If you're having trouble with deer in your home garden, dryer sheets we found out work very well. Dish detergent, all that kind of stuff. Just very smelly things that smell good to us, they don't like. And then right over here is our peppers. One thing I was actually telling my dad was that I think the deer are loving the strawberries, which is bad, but also kind of good, because they're not hitting our peppers that are only about 20 yards from the berries. So these are doing really nice. I mean, these are still very small. This was kind of our, we start off with our early peppers, we call them, in the plastic, and then this is kind of like our later ones, but this is also the big section of the field. This goes, I don't know how many feet it is, but you can see that tree out there. It goes about another 50 or 60 yards past that tree, and the field kind of goes out and swings around. So it's a pretty big field. I don't know how many exactly plants and stuff we have, but there's quite a few, as you can see. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. There's 12 in the middle. I think there's another 7 or 8 rows down there. Over here is our early ones. Something must have pulled this plant out. They like kind of chewed on it and then pulled it out. I just did a ride through here about 2 days ago, and these are looking really nice. And I was mostly looking for deer damage. That's what I was afraid of. But knock on wood, I only seen about 2 or 3 that got eaten off by the deer. Actually, right here is 2 of them. Right there's one. And then right there's one. And actually, there's another one over there. They might start hitting them a little bit worse now, but like I said, my mom just got the dryer sheets out yesterday. So hopefully that'll keep them out of here, because right now they're like prime for the deer to just come take one nice bite out of the top of them, and that pepper plant's done. So hopefully we can keep them out of here for about another 2 weeks, and then they'll get pretty big to where the deer then usually don't want to bother with them. Right down here is the eggplant. There's 5 rows of these. Looks like something nipped the top of that one off, but for the most part, these are doing really well. Everything's still very, very small. Ooh, out here it looks like something got a hold of them. Now I don't see deer tracks out here, so that might have been a groundhog. I mean, what is that, only 5 or 6? Oh, there's another one that's missing. 7. I think there's supposed to be another plant there. 8. Well, that's 8 plants that are now gone. If it's only 8 plants, that's okay, but when you start seeing, you know, 20, then 30, then 40, that's when you've got an issue. And it's just a shame because they just got to get past this little stage that they're in. And once they get bigger, they don't, like I said, don't want to mess with them. It's right now when they're young and tender, when everything just wants to bite one nice bite out of the top of them and then they're done. Down here below the eggplant is our first patch of sweet corn. I think the saying goes for field corn, now this is sweet corn, I think for field corn, the saying is knee high by the 4th of July is what you're kind of shooting for. But I mean, this sweet corn is about waist high. So this is doing really well. The deer can also hammer this, and I did see a couple plants right back here in the end that you can see they chewed off. But I'm not seeing much damage out here at all, which is good. I am seeing some, oh yeah, looks like they ripped this one right out of the ground. But like I said, not much for the most part. I couldn't even tell you what some of these animals are that do this. I mean, like, just pulled this whole thing right out of the ground. Bear are kind of known for that. And I would say that is bear, or possibility of a bear, but I can see the fresh deer tracks right here leading right up to that corn stalk. So that is a clear indication that was a deer. Usually if it's a bear, what they'll do is they'll they wait till the corn has nice ripe ears on it, and they'll go in, they'll just lay down and they'll just pull a whole circle of corn into them. Like, they're just kind of lazy. They'll lay down, pull all the corn into them, eat it, and then they'll just, you know, move on to another section in the field. And then we usually have that in one of our fields about once a year, every year, but we'll see if that happens this year again. So now we're out at the end of that first patch of sweet corn, and I'm looking at the field corn that was just planted. Again, I think the corn and the soybeans were planted the same day, and you can just see the little baby corn coming up. It's amazing how fast it can grow. Right there's another row. Doing really nice. And then over here is the garlic. We killed the weeds, or tried to kill as many of the weeds between the rows as we could. I had sunflowers here last year. You can see they kind of reseeded themselves. And the garlic, I'll pull one out here, is doing really nice. You can see that. Hold on, let me come out here and peel that off. It's nice when you get all that dirt off there. It's just a nice white bulb. Still not done growing, but I mean, I can't even get my fingers around it. So that's a pretty nice sized bulb. And like I said, when it's done growing, you'll kind of see the definition of the toes. There should be about between 5 and 7 toes typically in garlic, and I'm not even seeing toes yet. So that should mean it's going to grow, I would say, probably 1 or 2 inches in diameter yet, which that'll be a really nice set of bulb of garlic if it grows that big. I guess maybe I'll take that home. Holy crap, look at the size of that fly. So then over here is my sunflowers, and I know I'm kind of complaining a lot about the animals, but man, they've just kind of been hitting our not only veggies but flowers pretty hard this year. Right here you can see, now this is rabbit damage. There's no deer tracks, and I've been seeing the rabbits getting into them. Right here's 2 of them that were eaten off, and out here it's way worse. This is the first year I planted these. I actually transplanted them in the greenhouse and planted them kind of like in a plug size, and then I grew some over here that I planted by seed. I just kind of noticed over the years I don't get the germination rate obviously in the field as I do in the greenhouse. So I thought, well, this will be good. I'll start them out. That way they have a way better chance of growing, and they did. You can see how beautiful they are, but then now I have all this happening with the rabbits. It's like, if it's not one thing, it's the other, and they probably mowed off over half of my sunflowers, I was figuring. I mean, there was 8 or 9 there. Here's another 7 or 8. Here's another section of 15 I'm missing. And it's just really sad because you do all this work and they're gone. So I'm definitely gonna have to do something about these rabbits. Maybe I'll box trap them and just take them way back in the woods. Hopefully they won't come back, because it's just a lot of work now for nothing. And then over here is the sunflowers planted by seed. I was driving, my mom and Sammy were planting, and for the first time, I think this is the best they've ever done, planting them by seed. I'm having them almost, I wouldn't say 100%, but I'd say about 85–90% germination rate. And you can see them right down the row here coming up, as long as the stinking rabbits don't come out here and mow these nice little tender young plants off. So that's mostly everything. I've got the tomato field I want to show you yet, and then I think that'll be about it. And like I said, everything so far is looking great. Really happy with everything. The only problem, like I said, is these animals. If we can get them out of our fields and get them eating something else besides our vegetables and flowers, because that's the only thing right now that's hurting us. We've been really lucky, getting nice weather, getting rain when we need it, and that's just the temperatures have been great. So just everything's been doing really, really well, about as good as could possibly do in these types of conditions. I almost forgot about the potatoes. You've probably seen my previous videos, if you've been keeping up, of us cutting and then planting these, and here they are now. They're all about over a foot tall, doing really well. You can see them. The field kind of goes up and then curves this way, and you can see them out there. Beautiful. These up here, I can't even remember. I think these darker colored leaves are the red, and I think the lighter ones down there are the white, but I could be wrong about that. This is one, again, knock on wood, one of the nicest potato crops so far we've had in a while. Just absolutely gorgeous. And then down here we had a little bit of room left in the field. I remember saying that, and my dad snuck 4 rows of corn in. Now, boy, is it muddy down here. I see the deer are kind of hitting these a little bit harder, just because we're down here closer to the woods, these high weeds. The deer feel safer, and they know that they can get away with getting them down here, and nobody's gonna spook them, like right here. But I think even though they did get that one, I think it'll still grow. I think it'll still produce an ear. But I'm gonna have to come down here with hopefully some more dryer sheets and try to keep the deer out of here. If you've got any ideas of how to keep the deer out, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear it. Obviously, shooting them is not an option, and I'm not gonna poison them, so don't say that. But anything, like I said, dryer sheets works great for us. We've tried dish detergent, anything like that. But if you got any other things, let me know, because I'm all ears. I don't think I showed you guys yet, I forgot about the new wagon we got built. I didn't exactly build it. My buddy that you seen when we built that grain bin basketball hoop, he came again with a couple of his friends, and they built this. He did an awesome job. We had to get some true 4x8s underneath here, so that way we can get above those big tractor trailer tires we put on. We've only got about 1.5 inches of clearance from the bed to the tire, so I'm hoping we don't have no sagging there, which we shouldn't. This is actually an old, I think my dad said, truck frame. I found it in the weeds, and I painted it a couple years ago. Now we finally got it built. Nice, extremely heavy duty. Like I said, we got the 4x8s, and then we got the 2x6s, I think, on top. And so really happy with it. Only thing I had to do was then weld the mount for the jack on there. Now we have a jack for it, and I want to get a toolbox for right there, so we can put our clippers and anything we need in there, keep it dry, and then that wagon will be ready for the season. So then last but not least is the tomatoes. We just got our second or late planting of tomatoes in, which is these 3 rows right here. And up here is, oh, actually 4 rows, sorry. 3 down here and 1 right here. And then up here is the first planting. These are doing really nice. Boy, I don't even think we got 1 inch of rain, and it is extremely muddy. You can see all the dirt taken to my feet. These are already starting to get some, I can see some yellow blossoms up there. Again, I gotta get these sprayed too, because once they come off that plastic, it's too late and I cannot kill any of these weeds, and then it'll be a nightmare. So that'll be my next job. Probably the next couple jobs now that basically greenhouses are done and strawberries are coming to an end will be getting the weed sprayed, getting things cleaned up, and just getting prepared for the vegetable season, which is only about 2 weeks away. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel so I can reach out to more people and show them what we do and how we do it. And always remember, it ain't much, but it's honest work.